Today, we're talking about the story of Ezra HaSofer and the Temanim. We have Yossi over here, is a Temani. I have a lot of friends Temanim. The Temanim are the real McCoy. If there's anyone that we would put on the front line that said they didn't change, it was these guys. You understand? You mentioned a funny story, Yossi, the other day. I'm going to ask Hacham David Yosef. I'm going to send them a message, maybe today, in regards to the Sefer Torah. That Hamav Yosef at one point wanted to say that the Yeminite Sefer Torah is pasul. Before we continue, there's a difference between an Ashkenaz, Sfaradi, and a Yemenite Sefer Torah. Sfaradi and Ashkenazi. Sfaradi have the word Pesu'ad Daka with an Aleph. The Ashkenazim have Pesu'ad Daka with a Hey. And then Tamanim have about 22, I think, letters, or 24 letters or so, additionally in the Torah. But those 22 plus letters, or whatever they are, the exact number, are all silent letters. I'll bring that up in one of our coming learnings, all the differences, and we'll give all the Pesukim of them. We're going to go into it. But there were about 22 letters, like between Aleph, Hey, Vav, like things like that come up extra. Hacham Baja wanted to be posil, that from what Yossi told me. I'm only saying the story based on what I heard, not on what I saw. And what happened was somebody found a Sefer Torah from Halab, from Syria, from like 400 years ago, and in it had the same exact extra letters like the Yemenites did, which means that the Sefer Torah the Halabis were using today what was not the same that the Halabim used 300 plus years ago. And when Muhammad Bajaz saw that, he said it was not a problem, and they were all okay, because the Yemenites did a lot of things differently than the rest of Klal Yisrael. So today, when we find out that source, Yossi, let's check that out. I'm going to ask Ham David Yosef on that story to see if that is even true. Maybe he can direct us to where to go. We're reading here the story now of Ezra HaSofer. When he went to go back to second Beit HaMikdash, he went from Bavel. He was collecting people. He only collected 50,000 people from the millions of Jews that were in the world. And he went to Yemen, and supposedly he couldn't get anyone from Yemen. Not one person was willing to go with Ezra HaSofer. Now, Ezra HaSofer was not just a rabbi. He was a prophet. He was one that Ezra HaSofer was a prophet. He was only a prophet. He was the one that pretty much established everything we do today. Mm-hmm. Everything the modern Judaism today, Tefillah, Minhagim, he rewrote the Sefer Torah. He rewrote it from scratch. According to some opinions, he took it from Ktav Ivri to Ktav Ashuri, which was huge. He added dots. Lanu, Banenu, Ad. He added those dots. And he has and Ezra had a whole comment in the Gemara. Moshe asked me why I added the dots. I'll ask him why he did it. It's a whole discussion. Like Ezra Sofer was a colossal individual amongst Klal Yisrael in that generation. He couldn't convince one Yemenite because they said, listen, is this the Geula Shiniyah? Are we going now and that's it? We're ready? He said, no. Ezra was confident enough to say that that there's going to be another Geula after. They said, okay, go and you build it. We'll see you when you on the official inauguration. We'll see you.
That makes it even tougher because you're saying the man you tribute the tefillah we do today, you're not going to listen to come back to the Yerushalayim.
Listen, if there's one thing about Jews, they all have opinions. You look at the Gemara. What's the reason of learning all these opinions? It's to help you think and learn. It's critical thinking, not that you learned the Gemara and then everything anyone told you in the Torah, you accepted it. The purpose was to rethink, reestablish your own Hiddushim within the confines of the permitted guidelines. So let's see. He's saying on things that you're not allowed to say la'az on people. יתבאר על פי התשובה שכבר השבתי בהרחבה מתאריך תמוז התשמ"ה, וכן נתפסה בעריכת שולחן מדורה קמ"א סוף חלק ג', וגם נתפסה באלפים על ידי בני הישיבות. השם יחיים ושמענם, לחלקים לכל טועה שלא ייכשל, וראיתי להעתיק התשובה כאן כי ממנה תוצאות חיים וזוהי. אוקיי. כוח תמוז התשמ"ה לסדר כי לכם נתתי את הארץ לרשת אותה, עוסק בהרבצת תורה ומבין מקימה אוהליה הרב עזריאל בר אברהם אדמוני היו ראש העין שלימד יזכה לעלמין. אוקיי, רבות נשאלתי על ידך בדרך רבותינו נראה בלימוד בדרך ארץ, בדרך חיים, ביראת שמיים והשקפת עולם, ולא יכולתי לעמוד כנגד עוז תשוקתך. Okay, let's continue. כבוד עזרא ואנשי הכנסת הגדולה עולה על הכל. So it looks like it's on the bottom here. This is on, this is in the book, ספר עריכת שולחן ילקוט חיים. This is הרב שלמה קורח, רב העיר ואב בית דין בני ברק. אוקיי. אך אף על פי שבתשובתי אני מכחיש גדולים ממני, קשה לעקוד דבר ששורשיו מאות בשנים, אבל אשיב מפני כבודו של עזרא הסופר, אשר היה ממקבלי התורה, כמו שהזכיר הרמב"ם בהקדמתו, וזה לשונו. ועזרא ובית דינו קיבלו מברוך בן נריה ומבית דינו. בית דינו של עזרא הם הנקראים אנשי כנסת הגדולה. Okay, so he says here that אנשי כנסת הגדולה was Ezra's בית דין, והם חגי, זכריה ומלאכי, דניאל וחניה ומישאל ועזריה ונחמיה, בן חכליה ומרדכי בלשן זרובבל, והרבה חכמים מהם תשלום 120 זקנים. אוקיי. העתקתי דברי הרמב"ם כדי שתדע כי כבודם יגבר ויגדל על כל מי שהשיב לו, כדי ללכות מעל שמו בשם בית דינו הנורא. כל השמועה הנוראה הזאת, ובפרט לאחר משכבכם זה למעלה מ2000 שנה. 2000 years ago this happened with us. האומר כן, חס ושלום נלכד בחרם קדמונים, רחמן לצלם, כפי שעתיד אני לבאר לכך, ואקדים ללמד זכות על אותו צדיק מחבר מלאכת שלמה, כי לא ראה צורך לפסוק מלימודו דעסיק באורייתא תדירה, כדי לבאר לעניין זה ששמע בבית אביו, ולא היה לו זמן או צורך לבאר את זה כבירור סוגיה. קבלה מאבותיי נגד סיפור זה, אבל אם בעל נפש אתה, הט אזנך ושמע קבלתי קבלה ממני, גם דברים של טעם, חלק מהם מפי מורנו הרעם ז"ל, אשר כולי עלמא ידעו חוכמתו ויראתו כי רבה, ועל כולן ידעונותו במסורת יהודי תימן ותולדיהם, כפי שאינך רואות בספריו, וגם ממה שאני מעתיק ממנו בחיבוריי, ועפר אני לרגליו של מהרש"ל. That's Rav Shlomo Luria. No, this is Marshal Adani. Marshal Adani Zatzal. Different rabbi. אבל תדע כי יש לי מסורת מכחה של מאבותיי ממשפחתי, אשר מאות רבות בשנים ידועים בשמם ובחובריהם, אמרים בעצבא עליהם. גם הערך קורח זלהה שדורו נרעש מחוכמתו ויראתו אשר אבותיו ואבות אבותיו הם אבותיי, קרא לבן זקוניו בשם עזרא הסופר, ויגדל ויפרח ויולד 11 בנים ובנות, והיה תלמיד חכם מפורסם ועד זקנה ושיבה חיה. לא רק שם עזרא לא מצוי, אלא גם בשמות הרבה נביאים לא קראו. גם סיפור זה מופרך, כי לא תמצא בשם נריה, או חגי, או וחבקוק, או אלדד ומידד, גם לא יואל, אלישע, הושע ועוד. לא תמצא שיקראו בשמות כאלה בתימן. In Teman, they didn't call after any of the prophets. Interesting. That might have been the custom, the original custom of Bnei Israel.
It's not because, you bring a point that it's not because
Yes, they were saying that they didn't call Ezra because of what happened. He said, no, they didn't call any of the Nevi'im. That's why you didn't see any of them. Till today, you don't see it. גם נקודה זאת מופרכת מעיקרה, מן המנהג בין מאות שנים, שמקוננים בליל תשעה באב, ואומרים הנוסח לכן אנשי לבב, ומכתירם את עזרא בכתר אדוננו. כל עזרא אדוננו, מובאה בסדר התפילה כתב יד העתיקים. So, he has another thing, 5 יסודות לדחות מסורת זאת. It seems he's trying to negate anything of the fact that Ezra did anything negative to the Temanim. It's just because, and anyone who says it wasn't because they named them, so it seems that he doesn't agree with the story of Ezra. That's what it's seemingly, so that the rumor that, the story we said earlier is the rumor that was well said over. And here, Rav Korach from Bnei Brak, the Ab Bet Din, important that we put that in there. He says that doesn't seem to be accurate if you actually look into the sources. It's just a rumor. You know, it's a broken telephone story. Because they didn't call Ezra, because they didn't call anyone of the prophets of them. 5 יסודות לדחות מסורת זאת, ובאמת, כי גם אני בתחילה חשבתי כי זה עיסוק בדברים בטלים. I thought that was wasting my time, sitting and figuring out a story, who cares? Okay, big deal. Yes, no, okay. אלמלא הציפוני, רעיוני, לקום למצוא דברים ששמעתי ועיינתי בהם, להציל אדוננו עזרא ובית דינו. That it was worth it for me to research and to clarify the story. Someone can defend Ezra HaSofer ubeit dino. Everyone's going around saying that he said something negative about the Temanim. Rav Korach, Temani, Talmid Hacham, Atik Yomin, here, right here. He's telling you that no. He says, I have to come through, I'm Temani, I'm going to defend Ezra. I'm not going to allow everyone to just do that Has v'Shalom. שבוודאי כל מה שעשה היה על פי Din b'knesset hagedula mehotza'at la'az. He said, even if you're going to find out the story details, this guy was not a guy. This was a prophet that had bid din and knesset hagedula. He had backing in everything that he did. Ezra תעיין נוסף על קבלותינו גם להלן 5 טענות המקעקעות מן היסוד הציבור הזה, אף על פי שאחת מהן חזקה דיה. אלא דעת שינהג עזרא איפה ואיפה. Okay, so he continues on a couple of more pages. So it seems, from what he's saying here, and then you could research this further in Sefer Arichat Shulchan Yalkut Hayim, page Kuf Sadi Bet. You can look into it further if you want to research it here or anyone that's listening. But in a reference, it seems that Rabbi Korach does not agree with the story, and he's defending Ezra. And so, based on that, the next time that
so it can't be that HaSofer is going to curse the Yeminite.
I always thought that it didn't make any sense because it says in Torah that anyone who curses a Jew, why do they say not to curse another Jew or not to say something there? For a very simple reason. When Hashem blessed Abraham, he put on him a special protection for Abraham. He said, anyone who curses you, it bounces back. Anyone who blesses you, the blessing also can bounce back. That's why the person who prays for another Jew, he's going to get answered first. Where did that come from? That was originally that Hashem gave Abraham an unbelievable blessing. He said, I'm going to protect you, Abraham. That even the people that don't like you, or your enemies, the 4 kings, 5 kings, when they curse you, that curse bounces back to them. Imagine God telling that to Abraham Avinu. What kind of beracha that is? He said that I'm protecting you. Verbally, no one has any power on earth, anywhere on earth, to say anything against you or your children, because if they do, it comes right back to them. Now a person has to be super careful about other Jews. This ties into our daily Lashon Hara. Why speaking Lashon Hara or saying things that are improper, sometimes we know, we don't know, is birumo shel olam, because really what you're doing is you're protecting yourself with Lashon Hara. That's really what your essence in doing based on this concept.
Well, this is what people did, is Lashon Hara, and that's what he's trying to...
Yeah, well actually, Yossi, is it Lashon Hara or Motzi Shem Ra if it's not true? Motzi Shem Ra. It's Moter Garua. So we don't even know. We don't know if it's Lashon Hara or it's Motzi Shem Ra. And Rabbi Korach is trying to clean it up in Arichat Shulchan. It's not true. It's seemingly not true, and he goes into more detail. We only read a small part.
Other people didn't come with Ezra. I said, why? There's only the Yeminite. If it's more people,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense. If it's on purpose, just the Yeminite is going to curse.
You're right.
If you're telling me only 50,000 out of millions came, maybe he went to another community, he took 7 people, but 7 or 0 in the grand context of this big plan is the same outcome.
It seems this could have been a story that that came and it's not true and doesn't have any basis.
The Yemenite, they want to disconnect from the outside world because they didn't want the Natsur to come on to Avodah Zarah and teach them all these things.
Yeah.
So that's why they didn't do business with other. That's why they were poor. Not just the Jews, even the Muslims, they didn't want anything from outside. So they only by them, they keep themselves.
There was no import-export business. No import-export. Whatever was in the pool, they had to share. There was nothing coming in, nothing new. Wow. That's the opposite of from the Bukharim. The Bukharim was the opposite. They wanted, bring us the gold, bring us the silver, bring us the jewelry. They took the silver, they took the gold, they gave them silver. The Bukharim were very big on jewelry. Okay, so it's a big difference. By the way, and so were the Yemenite. They were also big on jewelry, but they stayed within their pool. It looks like the Bukharians didn't. They went out worldwide and they became huge in the jewelry business.
You know what you said last time, that the Yemenite, the country was poor and everything, but he bring down and Israel cursed them because of that they're going to be poor, and he bring down I don't know how many years, but a few years later, after is showing, and they have proof, they have like letters from other countries in Bavel, that the Yemenite, they send money to Bavel to Yeshivot there. So he says it's a time that they had money.
They were wealthy.
Yemen, and they say it wasn't, not everybody was poor. He said it was some good rich people in Yemen.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were.
And he said that they send money to Bavel to the Yeshivot there. And he said, here we have a proof that, they send letter, thank you for this, thank you for that. So
the letter was approved.
So it's not even a curse. The curse didn't happen.
It didn't even happen. And you know what's even further? I have a rabbi that comes to my father's house every year. His name is Rabbi Shalom Obrani. He lives in Bnei Brak. Yeminite, Amiti. It's like this short, super short, very skinny. I remember when he first came to, I think it was in Keter Tzion in Brooklyn, and I saw him, but I didn't say anything to him. And then I was at work in Manhattan. I was working on West 30th Street and 6th Avenue. My father has a place there. My father was on 6th Avenue, so I was on West 30th around the corner from him. And my father's warehouse, and he had a warehouse in Manhattan, and it's a couple there still is. He still has it. He still has it, believe it or not. It's unbelievable. Nisim, he's there from the 80s. And so it used to be a furry. West 30th Street between 6th and 7th and 7th and 8th Avenue, 8th and 9th were furries. Furriers, what do you mean? They would, all the ones that the Jewish trade was, they would sell fur jackets, bear, mink, all beautiful rabbit fur, all different beautiful furs. People back in the day didn't wear synthetic junk like they wear today. Today, a guy pays $1,500 for a Canadian goose or something, synthetic junk jacket. That same price, he would buy a bear, fair, gorgeous, super warm jacket. That whole block was all those businesses. But slowly, that business trade died or got dispersed from just one street in Manhattan to all around the country and the world. And a lot of that business also got banned. Then they started allowing to sell fur. You understand? They didn't ban the synthetic chemicals and the creation of the processes that are way worse than killing an animal. That they never stopped. They only stopped the killing of animals to make a jacket. But the whole entire process of the synthetic is way more unhealthier and way more dangerous and has way more side effects than actually just taking an animal, eating its meat, taking its fur, and using every part of it. But that's not for this discussion. That whole block was that. So my father's warehouse in the back had a fridge. It was a huge fridge, bigger than triple the size of this room. And it had in there a door that was 12 inches thick. It was like huge. And so I told my dad, I'm like, look, this is crazy, but I'm like, I want to use that fridge as my office. So I set up a whole office inside the fridge. I let them leave the door open. The door was a bulletproof door. It was bomb-proof. It was 12-inch door with for I don't know. It was crazy, and it's still there till now. You like to remove. It's from the 1800s or something. Back then when they built things, they built them that they should be around forever. Like today, they build it with the intention that within 12 months you have to call either for service, maintenance, or repair the item. Today, it's a common thing. They won't sell you a product that you can actually buy and use for long term, because then they'd be out of business. Imagine that. If I sold you a car that would last for 40 years, you wouldn't come back and buy another car. So I took that as an office, and I didn't yet set up my mezuzah. And so came Rabbi Obrani one day, was collecting, and like we had an African guy from Africa, from Senegal. My father speaks French. He spoke French. So from West Africa, they speak French. So it was great. My father loved working with people that speak French. Didn't care where they were from. And so we had this great guy from West Senegal, and he was to manage the store. Now he knew I was Jewish, and he knew I was like observant. So anytime a rabbi came, he thought like it was my cousin or my brother. Like he didn't know that every rabbi that came in, like a shaliach, was like going there to collect money. He didn't get it. And like in the beginning, what was the tactic that they used? The shalichim, they look if you had a mezuzah. They look in the beginning. See if the business has a mezuzah. The guy is Jewish. Now the garment district area, mezuzot, every building has a mezuzah. Every building there is owned by someone that's either Jewish or rented by someone Jewish, because the Jewish people are in the trade business. They're buying and selling, they're creating, they're doing things. So that was the garment district, the shmata business. So I had a mezuzah, and every day I would have, I'm not kidding, 4 to 10 different shlichim coming. And I had to explain to the worker, I'm like, look, I'm Jewish and they're Jewish, but not everyone who walks in here who's wearing this kippah, can you send them in the back? Literally, I was there for 8 hours a day. Every hour I have another shaliach. And you know what? These shlichim, they wouldn't take $18. They wouldn't take less than 101. So it was a constant every day. I was giving $1,000 to sit like up. I'm not kidding. Every day. And you know what? And you don't want to get these guys, you don't want this guy to put HaSofer Shalom, some ayin or something. So, but what I started to do, I didn't know what to do anymore. And I said, I don't want to tell them, I'm not going to give them. I said, I'm going to change the system. I'm going Halabi style. What was the Halabi style? The old Halabi when people used to come from Israel to come to collect, they would have all the Sfarim in their office, and they would sit and learn with him. If he was a good Talmid Hacham and he knew his stuff, his learning, they would help him. If he didn't, they'd give him $18. Thank you. Allah ma'ak, have a good day. I said, okay, very good. I brought some Sfarim. I brought some halachot. I brought some things, and I said, you know what? I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in a funny way. I'm only going to learn Chumash Rashi with them. Only Chumash Rashi. I said, because if you can't learn Chumash Rashi with me, you know, I mean, that's the basic of the basics. You know? Devarim shebirumo shel olam, bnei adam mizalzelim bahem. And so I had a Chumash Rashi. I brought a bunch of the Sfarim, but I kept the Chumash Rashi right on my table. Okay. Came one day, Rabbi Obrani, and I see this old, short rabbi, Yeminite, skinny like this. But something about him felt magical. Some kedusha. There was something about him. He was the real McCoy. So he said, yeah, yeshli Kollel is called Beit Yosef Maran. He does only learning Maran, Shulchan Aruch, and he's Yemenite, but he follows Shulchan Aruch to the T. So he came in, he said, Bati, Khan, Kollel, this, that. I said, okay. I said, אני רוצה ללמוד קצת רש"י. I said, יש לי שאלה על רש"י. He says, okay. He said, I was about to open the book. He goes, למה אתה פותח הספר? I said, I'm going to learn it. He says, איזה פסוק? I said, I'm this pasuk. He said, okay. He said to me the Rashi be'al peh, and he explained to me the Rashi before me opening the book. I came, I hugged him, I kissed him, I gave him a nice donation. I said, I don't know where you're for Shabbat, but you're coming to Brooklyn, eating by me. He says, perfect. I want to be in Brooklyn. He came, and for year over year, he would come over. He was in his already 80s. His mother was 93 years old, and his mother's brother, his uncle, was 110. You should take the bus every week to visit his sister on Thursday. I said, are you joking me? He goes, no. He takes the bus every week. He's 100 and something years old, and he would go. And a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, he came to me. I said, how's your mother doing? He said, no. And she went. I said, how old is she? He said, I think she made it to 100 something. I don't remember what he told me. He said she made it to 100. He said, but he didn't make it with what his mother did, which was like 112. Like he said to me, she didn't make it. Yani, she made it to the. She was a centurion. What do they call them? Centurions. Thing. But she didn't make it to what. It's not. They have some genes for arichut yamim b'shanim. So
my grandmother, she passed away maybe 2 years ago. She was like 96, I think.
96.
And if somebody came to the Shiva, I went to Ezra.
Yeah.
It's very close to her.
Yeah.
And he told me the whole story. He's from Yemen. I think he's like 92 or 94. And he's sitting there. You see him, you don't believe that he's that age because he's like very strong and he's active and he do everything by himself and he's very sharp. He remember everything. And he tell me the whole story from Yemen, how they came together and they were neighbor in Yemen. And even stuff that my grandmother, she didn't told us.
She didn't remember.
He remember everything.
I love
how
it.
They came on the bus and they took him out with the bus. And I said, I have to record this guy. I have to get all this information out of him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's old. The day after, I see his nephew. He's a taxi driver.
Yeah.
He took me somewhere. So I told him, where's your uncle? Give me his number. I want to talk to him. I want to record him.
Yeah.
So he told me, take his number. I took the number. He told me, but he's not going to answer now. I told him, why? He told me he's working now. So what? He told me he's working. Now he's not working,
on the computer.
Secretary. He's building. He's working like a builder.
He's a laborer. He's a physical laborer.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
And he's 94, I don't know.
You know what? These individuals, they didn't see work as a physical labor that is a burden. They understood that the ability to go to work and that physical labor is the process of success and survival. That's why so many people, when they retire, die from sickness because they have their purpose goes nowhere. And you know what? This is one thing that I realized early on with the Torah. It says if you make the Torah a friend when you are young, it will be your friend when you get older. And you think about that. Sure. Now you think about what do you mean? What do you mean friend when you get older? Of course, it's going to make you sharp, keep your mind up. even if a person's physical strengths wane, his mental strength can get better. But furthermore, why does it stay your friend? He says, because when a person gets older, if his physical strength weakens and he has no mental capability,
It's boring. It's boring.
there's less to do. But when a person is constantly learning and learning, he becomes sagely as he get older. Sagely, you can give advice, you can help people, you can advance, you can do what takes 10 people, one person in 1 hour, because he's using experience and knowledge. And so you keep your Torah your friend when you're young, he'll be your friend your whole life. He'll never leave you this Torah. And so that's today's lesson on that. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.